Hi, it's Charles Norman here again with you from Professor Q's Sports Solutions with another Professor Q's product review. Now this is a little different than the other product reviews that I've done. This is an answer to a lot of the questions that I'm getting for basketball. One of the things I mentioned on my website a lot is that I was able to secure a Division I scholarship for my daughter, which I'm going to actually give you guys a lot of information about later on in basketball. And one of the questions I get a lot on the website is, what do I consider to be the best basketball camp for a player that's really serious about playing the game long term, varsity, high school, and maybe going on to play at the collegiate level. So I also get the same question for baseball and soccer and volleyball and football. You know, what are the best camps? Now, I'm still investigating the other sports, but for basketball, I know what the answer is to that. I mean, there's no question, hands down, the best camp available is Point Guard College. I think they now call it PGC. They've shortened it. I think they're trying to get away from the point guard aspect of it. But it's not even close. It is the best camp you can send your child to. Now, what's the difference between Point Guard College and all the other basketball camps? Well, most basketball camps focus on physical. They're going to work on ball handling and finishing in the lane, and your shooting and working with both hands, and your defense and taking charges and just playing the game. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your kid has to develop that. Now, I personally believe that if you want to develop those skills, I would get a private trainer for my kid and not necessarily use a camp, because in a camp environment, there's so much going on at the same time, and they only have a certain amount of time because there's so many campers there that it ends up being where the one thing that your kid needs to do and get better at, they'll give them a few tips when they see they're struggling with it, but they won't keep going with it. You know, and if your kid has an area where they're suffering, that's where it needs to be picked up. You need to fix that more than you need to go on to the next thing that they're probably pretty good at. So they kind of move them through different stations, and I don't know, things just sort of get muddled up. There's too much going on. So I'm not saying these camps are bad necessarily. I'm just saying that compared to Point Guard College, it's not even close. The other thing a lot of parents like to do is they like to send their kids to a camp that is the college that they may want them to go to, or the high school they may want them to go to later, and let them get looked at by the coach, so they'll know they're coming there and kind of see what the feedback is for their child maybe attending that school. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea, but if you're going to do that, go ahead and do it. But in addition, Point Guard College is still a better deal overall. Now, what they do at Point Guard College that's different is that they put them in more of a classroom environment. So they spend a big part of the mornings actually in a classroom watching film and seeing what they should be doing when it's done correctly and what's being done incorrectly, and then they go out and perform those skills on the court. The second thing about Point Guard College is that they emphasize the leadership aspects of being a player. And the reason that's really important, not so much that, you know, your kid's the leader on the team type thing. What's important about that is that that's what the coaches at the collegiate level are looking for. They don't say it, but that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the way you carry yourself. They talk about when things go wrong on the court, or when they go right on the court, or when you're trying to make a point, and how not to get yourself in bad position. And I can absolutely tell you, I sent my daughter to Point Guard College, and when she came back, she was a completely different player. It's only a week. It's 5 days, 4 nights. It's an overnight type camp. But she came back after that week, and that next week I went to pick her up from her high school basketball practice, and I could already see the difference. I mean, it was just incredibly different, much calmer on the court, sense of presence on the court. It just, I don't even know how to explain it to you. Presence is the best word that I can probably use. Now, one of the drawbacks and one of the reasons a lot of parents hesitate to send their kid to Point Guard College is, one, they've never heard of it, obviously, and they get a lot of pressure from other people to send them to this camp or that camp because, you know, the trainer there is so great, or, you know, if they're playing on a travel ball team, they're pressured to send them to that club team's camp. You know, they'll get everything they need there. That's what you're being told. But your responsibility is to your child. So what you want to do is send them to the camp that's going to do the best for them. Point Guard College is the best one. The second reason people are hesitant to do it is because it's a little more expensive than all the other camps. I think Point Guard College, from what I've been looking at lately, is about $795 at the time I'm making this tape for most of their courses. And then I looked at some of the colleges to see what they charge for their summer camps, and they're in the $595, $695 range also. So that's your next level of camp. And then if you look at the local and regionals, you'll go $595, $495, all the way down to about $200 for a day camp, where you're going to come and take your kid home. But when you stay overnight, it's always going to be a little more expensive because they have to house the players and they have to feed them. So this is a stay-over type camp. It's 5 days, 4 nights. It is the best bang for your buck you're ever going to get at a basketball camp. That's the best way for me to put it. If you're going to put your money somewhere, this is where you want to put it. So now let me tell you the courses. Now, one of the reasons, if you looked earlier in any of my other videos, I have my favorites and I recommend a lot of products. I always recommend products that I know work. And so since I sent my daughter to this camp and I saw the change, and I've seen other players that I've recommended this to come back, and I've seen their games completely change, I have no hesitation telling you to go ahead and spend the $800 for this camp. But what I will tell you is that I would recommend only a couple of the courses. I don't know about the other courses. I'm not saying they're good or bad. But the one I recommend, number one, is the course they call Think the Game. That was my favorite. I sent my daughter that first, and then I sent her to the Essentials, and both of us, when she came back, agreed that Think the Game, I should have just sent her to that twice, really, but I was trying to get her a different course. Now, so Think the Game is my number one recommendation. If you can get to a course there, that's the one you want to take. The second one, at the time my daughter was going about 2 years ago, they didn't have anything pre-high school. So you had to be in the high school level just to go to the camp. That's how serious it was. They really wanted to know that they were getting kids that wanted to play. But now they do have a pre-high school for junior high students called prep course. So I would recommend that. Now, I haven't been to that, but what I would believe is they're going to get them ready to make varsity at high school, which is your goal, and get them in the right mindset and understanding that you're switching now. Because in junior high and prior to junior high, you're playing either on travel teams or club teams, and the environment's completely different. In high school, they don't have to take you. You can't pay enough money to get your kid starting time on a team. Well, maybe you can, but that's a whole different story. But the point is that the coach is going to play, the players are going to help them win. And when you get to high school, you've got people coming in from multiple junior high schools into that high school. There's players you've never heard of or never seen that are going to come on that court and be able to play just as well as you play, if not better. And you don't know what players are coming in that had siblings that played at that school prior. I mean, you have to overcome a lot. So I think this is a great opportunity for you to get your kid in the mindset to play in a way that coaches are looking. And like I said before, coaches don't necessarily know what they're looking for, but they know a player when they see a player. And when you go to Point Guard College, you're going to come back and you're going to be a player. You're going to, when your movements on the court, your presence on the court will say, this is a player. This is somebody to be reckoned with. This is somebody you need to take another look at if you're the coach. And that's what you want, right? And then, so those are the two. If you're from junior high, it's the prep course. For high school, it's the game, what is it? Think the Game, I'm sorry. And then Essentials is supposed to be a pretty good course, but I don't recommend that one. My daughter took both of those. Think the Game was quite the better course, so it's the way I would recommend you go. And then if your kid's already in college, they have a new one called Advanced Concepts. I think that one's about $1,000. But if your kid's in college, you want them to play, you want to send them here because it's still going to fix their game. So, because I'm going to actually send my daughter to that, and she had a pretty good freshman year in college, and she got to play quite a bit. But you want to take the next step. So I'm going to actually send her to that too. So those are my recommendations. Now, as I said, Point Guard College is a little more expensive than a lot of the other camps. Not by a lot, but just enough to make it where you may still be hesitating to pull the trigger on sending your kid there. So what I'm going to do, and I said this before, one of the other products that I highly recommended was a book. It was this book, in fact, Stuff Good Players Should Know, and it was written by Dick DeVinzio. And Dick DeVinzio is actually the person who created the Point Guard College years ago. And he's died since then, a few years back, and it's been taken over by a lady named Dina Evans, and she's taken it and with some other people, they've expanded it and really have grown it into a major powerhouse as far as camps are concerned. And so they're now nationwide if you're in the United States. I think that's mainly where they hold their classes. But what I'm going to do, I've called them up and I've become an affiliate for them, which means they'll give me some sort of money or monetary compensation if you use my link to go there, and I've sent you there. But I want to make perfectly sure that you guys understand, and if you've been around this website enough, you know I don't recommend anything that I either haven't tried or I've recommended things that people I know have gotten better using. I never recommend a product to get the affiliate payout for it. I would never do that to you. That's just not the way I do things. And so because this camp is fairly expensive at $800, what I want to do is I'm going to give you a copy of this book. So that'll cut my affiliate commission, and trust me, it wasn't enough in the first place. And it'll save you $30 because I really want you to have this book as much as I want you to go to this camp. This is my favorite basketball training aid. And I know it's not a physical training aid product that's going to help you shoot better or better ball handling, but it's more important than anything else you'll purchase. And I think this camp will be the next most important. Now, if you've already purchased the book, don't fear. I'll just send you another copy. There has to be a relative or a friend that can use this also. So you're still going to get a copy of this. So as soon as you use my link, there's probably a banner up top, or I've created some buy now or go there now button below here. Below the video. Use that. They'll notify me, and then I'll get this book to you so that you'll have both the book and you'll have the camp. And your kids should be set to at least make varsity at high school and hopefully to get a collegiate opportunity. So that's it. The other thing I wanted to say, I get a lot of emails now about how to get a scholarship, because one of the other things I mentioned is I was able to get my daughter a scholarship on my own. I didn't go to a recruiting service. Not that I have anything against recruiting services, but I think if your kid has the talent to play at the collegiate level, then you can get them there. And at the very least, if they're in the 9th, 10th, 11th grade, you might want to take a stab at this before you go to the recruiting services. Now, if your kid's a senior, I say use the recruiting services because there's some reason they haven't gotten where they need to be to make sure they were seen, and they should be getting some offers if they can play at that level. College coaches are desperately looking for players. What the problem is that the colleges that have space available and that would be interested in your kid don't ever get to see your kid. There's such a small world, a small window of colleges that we recognize and know about, that the colleges that are looking for your kid never ever gets to know anything about them. Your high school coach doesn't know anything about these colleges, and usually even your travel ball coach. Most coaches at any level only know about 3% of the schools that are available, and they only have any kind of connection with less than half of that. So really they have a small world. What I was able to do was broaden my world, and I'll show you guys how to do that later on. A lot of the stuff you need is already on my website. I'm going to put a link down here to our main website. That website is absolutely free, and it's got tons of information and resources that will help you at any level, from your child just first playing to them actually trying to find scholarships. So go there. There's a link below. Yes, you have to become a member, but I only do that to protect information that you're going to I'm going to be asking you for later on if I'm going to be making these special offers that I'm working on these deals. So I want to make sure no one comes in there and just grabs a bunch of stuff and runs away. So I do make you become a member, but it's absolutely free to use, and I recommend you go ahead and do that. Anyway, that's it. Remember our goal: get them in the game, make sure they're playing and not just on the team, and make sure they're enjoying their experience playing sports. All right, we'll talk to you later. go ahead and click the banner up top or whatever button I may have down below, and I'll get this book to you, and you'll get started and get your kid on their way.